We are on the eve of Season 14, Sea of Thieves, making mischief. Going to be catered towards those players who like to be sneaky and stealthy and all ninja-like and tucking. This is definitely going to be the season for them. It's obviously very, very PvP focused, but so was last season, 13, the Burning Blade. That's a very PvP focused world event. So it made me wonder, like, is Sea of Thieves supposed to be about just PvP pirates, or are they supposed to cater to both the PvP and the PvE pirates as well? But lately, it doesn't really feel like the PvE pirates are getting their fair share of the content to enjoy. And I'm in both camps. I like the PvE as much as I like the PvP. I embrace being a pirate. I understand what it means to be a pirate in this game, especially in high seas. You know, sometimes you're the one who's stealing the loot, and sometimes the loot's being stolen from you. Sometimes your crew are the ones sinking the ships, and sometimes your ship is the one going to the bottom of Davy Jones's locker. That's just the way it goes in Sea of Thieves. That's what I understand about the game as a pirate. But that's just my opinion about it. That's just my point of view. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. But I've been watching some videos. I've been going into Reddit, looking at it from the players that just want a PvE, that only care about going into safer seas. They don't want to be bothered by the PvP tryhards, the sweat lords, the pirates in the game that have been playing for years now, that have way more skills and way more talent when it comes to PvP than they ever hoped to have. This problem happened very apparently when it came to PS5. So PS5 had a really good launch months ago. It was at the top of the charts for the first month, and then it plummeted in the player count. And a big reason why it went down was because a lot of the new players on PS5 were going up against pirates that had transferred from Xbox PC to PS5 and were being utterly destroyed by pirates with way more experience at ship combat and the hand-to-hand combat and the gun combat than they had. It was, to be honest, unfair. And that's one reason why I made a Stars Guide video a while back encouraging new pirates to Sea of Thieves to go to safer seas, to start there, and then eventually once you felt comfortable with the basic mechanics of Sea of Thieves, then you could move on to high seas. But one thing I've come to understand from reading Reddit posts and watching some videos is that there are just some pirates in the game that do not want to go into high seas no matter what. They rather take the pay cut. They rather only get 30% loot. They don't like that. They wouldn't mind more, along with some other features. So basically that's what this video is about. Improving safer seas for the PvE pirates. Or the pirates in Sea of Thieves that just want to go into safer seas every now and then just to chill because they're not really in a mood to PvP. They just want to hang out, sail around with friends, or maybe just do tall tales or accommodations that they can also achieve in the safer seas without the PvP nonsense. So this is what I think should be done to improve safer seas. And yes, I am in safer seas right now. This is a chartered ship. I had to take my sweet time customizing it at the shipwright, which is a pain in the ass if you're used to already having it saved with your own captain's ship. In my opinion, one of the things that needs to change about Sea of Thieves in safer seas is the ability for pirates to be able to purchase and use captain ships in safer seas. You spend all this time looting, earning gold, and yeah, there's plenty of cosmetic items to spend the gold on, but the most coveted items are the captain ships. But, as most of you are aware of, we're not allowed to use captain ships in safer seas. It's your ship. You purchased it with the gold. Whether it's a sloop, a brigantine, a galleon, doesn't matter. You should be able to dictate whether or not you sell that ship in high seas or safer seas. So that is definitely one change that I think needs to happen to improve safer seas. The other is literally right in front of me, the sovereigns. They clearly exist in safer seas, but unfortunately, pirates cannot use the sovereigns in safer seas because they do not have access to the captain ships. So that's twofold. Allow players to purchase and use their captain ships in safer seas, and at the same time, allow them to sell their loot to the sovereigns instead of the old way where they're forced to go to the gold hoarders for gold items, merchants for the merchant items, Order of Souls for the Order of Souls skulls. That's just pointless now. It's redundant. It's the old way of Sea of Thieves. Most players go straight to the sovereigns, unless it's something like related to the Reapers, which doesn't exist in safer seas. That's a high seas thing, and it should remain high seas. But the pirates in safer seas should be able to, once again, bring their captain ships into safer seas, use them in safer seas, and sell the loot on their captain ships at the sovereigns. Those are two major changes that a lot of players want Rare to do when it comes to improving safer seas. Those two things alone would make safer seas even better in my opinion. But I do have one more thing that they should actually consider doing when it comes to safer seas. Boost the payouts. I'm not saying boost it to 100%. I'm not even saying boost the Golden Renown up to 75%. But 30% is kind of low, Rare. Especially since, as I discovered, the supply costs are still the same in safer seas as they are in high seas. That's a ripoff to players in safer seas. So that's another thing. Boost the Golden Renown up to 50% from 30% and readjust the cost of supplies, make them lower in safer seas than they are in high seas, since we're getting less gold and less renown in safer seas than we are in high seas. So all those changes, I think, would go a long ways towards improving safer seas. Now, regarding everything else that's in high seas, keep it in high seas. Keep the emissary stuff and the emissary flags in high seas. Keep the Athenas. Keep the Reapers in high seas. Obviously, keep the Hourglass in high seas because that's PvP themed, as well as the PvP world events. They belong only in high seas. All this is going to do is make safer seas more enjoyable for the PvE pirates that just want to be left alone, that don't want to deal with players that have years more experience in combat than they have. It is technically an unfair fight, but there are players that are going to want both the PvE and the PvP aspect of Sea of Thieves. There are those of us that embrace both aspects of being a pirate, the PvE and the PvP. But there are some players out there that just want PvE. They don't want PvP. So why not cater to them as well, Rare, by improving safer seas? I don't think that's too much to ask. If anything, it would benefit the community as a whole, because it would mean more players would return to Sea of Thieves that have left it because of the PvP that they don't enjoy, because they're not at the same skill level, because they haven't been playing the game as long as other pirates. Especially if you go from PS5 to crossplay, that is definitely nightmare fuel for new pirates right there. So yeah, I think that both servers are valid for Sea of Thieves players to take part in. Whether you're about PvE, PvP, go to high seas. The higher the rewards, right? You get 100% of the payout in the gold, the renown. You get access to all the other factions like the Athenas, the Reapers, and their PvP factions for Hourglass. You get the emissary flag stuff. You get the PvP world events. But for the record, I don't see a problem in making Sea of Thieves more appealing for the PvE pirates out there, or even regular pirates like myself that do both PvP and PvE that on occasion just want to go chill in safer seas. It would be nice if I could do that with my captain ship and not have to constantly go to the shipwright and like add all the cosmetics to the ship. It's kind of annoying, kind of time consuming, and since I spent my hard-earned gold on my sloop, on my brigantine, on my galleon, I should be able to take that ship into high seas as well as safer seas because it's my boat. I started thinking about this months ago whenever the numbers on PS5 started to decline, because I mainly play on high seas PS5 servers, which can get kind of dead sometimes, as I've already mentioned, especially with Hourglass. When my fiance Riley and I were trying to go into Hourglass, a lot of times we'd find ourselves going up against each other, sloop versus sloop. Usually didn't end well for me because she's the better PvP pirate than myself, but that's fine. I just think that the reality is a lot more players would come back to Sea of Thieves, and maybe new players as well across all platforms, PS5, Xbox, and PC, if improvements were made to Safer Seas. Your thoughts, views, and opinions regarding improving Safer Seas and Sea of Thieves, welcome as always below in the comments section.